They call us names, gang, blood.
I could take your AK-47 apart and put it back together. I can do it.
The way the media says we have gangs, I don't think we have gangs.
The people who live in the community either don't know or they want to be in denial.
Bunch of guys chilling together, girls chilling together. That's my definition. But what's your definition of a gang?
I'm Sarush Alvi. I spent my summers during high school here in West Toronto, in this place called Dixon. Dixon is basically a complex of 6 condo towers. I lived in building number 380. Back then, it was home to middle-class South Asians, Jamaicans, and white Canadians. The kids from the different buildings would hang out, we played some tennis, and looking back, I have some pretty fond memories of my time spent there. So when I saw media reports with police saying that this is the breeding ground for a violent gang, a gang apparently called the Dixon City Bloods, I was surprised to say the least. It's a far cry from the community of families I'd known as a kid, a place where refugees fleeing Somalia's brutal civil war settled in the early 90s. The first wave started to come when I was spending time there. We wanted to figure out if the claims police make about Dixon, that it's a hotbed of organized crime and rampant violence, are true.
I came to Toronto in '92, right after the civil war in Somalia. So if you come from a place of trauma and conflict, you come to a new environment, then you try to find a way to kind of like become part of society. Since we came to the neighborhood, we've got a lot of media coverage, not all of it positive. You had coverage about being bogus refugees, asylum seekers that shouldn't have come to Canada to begin with. And then that went from 9/11 as a suspected terrorist hotspot or whatever, and then now as a place of, I guess, gang members and gang activity.
The towers are private property, and according to the young people who live here, security guards give out trespassing tickets for being in buildings other than the ones the residents live in as a way to keep tabs on people. This is the first charge several of the youth we spoke to said they received.
So you actually have a time where you're allowed to go in and out of your neighborhood, basically. And if you don't comply to those terms, you get trespassed and you get put in jail. You live in a neighborhood where you play inside a cage and you're being watched by everybody. You're being watched by police, you're being watched by the media, and you kind of herd into the middle of the park to play inside a cage. It's like a prison yard, right? Coming to a situation where you have all these challenges and then just surviving and making it out of the realities is something that we all share, I guess.
Dixon has always been Dixon. For me, I've been here for like 16, 17 years, and I didn't see any differences, like what people are talking about now, how they're saying there is like, Dixon is a dangerous place. I've never experienced that. To be honest with you, gangs, no.
So where did this gang idea start? The earliest media report mentioning a gang bearing a similar name and makeup, the Dixon True Bloods, was in late 2007 in relation to a murder suspect in a city with a large Somali population about 3 hours away. Over the years, shootings here became more common, but police didn't publicly link crime in the area to a gang. In 2011, a man was shot in the head in one of the building's stairwells. But at the time, the police made no mention of gang involvement. In the 6 years after the first mention of the Dixon True Bloods in 2007, talk about them went quiet. That all changed.
Battering rams busting down doors here at this apartment complex on Dixon Road.
It was June 13th, 2013, early in the morning. The Dixon Towers are raided by the police's Guns and Gangs Task Force.
Residents here terrorized this morning as police stormed in.
It's the dramatic end of a secret year-long investigation called Project Traveler. The police were after a gang that they said had been terrorizing the neighborhood for years. This time, the gang was given a new name, the Dixon City Bloods.
major series of police raids took down the Dixon Bloods.
The police broke into the house. They threw a stun grenade into the hallway. I got hit by it, put me in handcuffs. My mother was in the house as well. She got arrested. And then we went through the process of basically trying to clear her name.
44 people were arrested on more than 200 charges. 42 guns, 1 taser, $3 million worth of drugs, and $570,000 in cash were seized. Mohammed Farah was charged with 5 criminal offenses, including possession of proceeds of crime and unauthorized possession of a firearm.
A lot of innocent people got involved in it. A lot of people that didn't belong into any kind of criminal activity got involved in the raid.
Mohammed was never accused of being in the gang, and all of his charges were dropped. Police said that the Project Traveler raids dismantled the Dixon City Bloods.
The organization which we have disrupted today is alleged to have been involved in the importation of firearms across the Windsor border.
The charge that was given again and again was participation in a criminal organization. The gang? The Dixon City Bloods.
Dixon City Bloods, never heard of it. No one has ever heard of it before the actual media coverage. If a gang is something that's organized and that has a background in making money from illegal activities, we don't have that in this neighborhood.
5 of the initial 44 later had their charges withdrawn by police. Prosecutions are ongoing. So far, 2 people have been found guilty. 27 pled guilty immediately after that trial ended. 2 had charges stayed, meaning their prosecutions have been discontinued. Mohammed says the cops are reading the situation all wrong.
If you're talking about poverty-stricken young people that find ways to hustle and make money, we have a lot of that. We have 70% unemployment rate in this community. People get involved in selling drugs, and that's part of the reality that goes on.
The police had suddenly come down hard, and it all happened around the same time somebody else was in the spotlight. Rob Ford.
A focus of the police.
Guys, can you get off my driveway, please?
The recently deceased former mayor of Toronto. He was known to publicize having allies in poor areas of the city. But when news broke that Ford had been caught on camera smoking crack, media coverage exploded. And that video was allegedly shot in a house near Dixon.
I can tell you that the digital video file that we have recovered depicts images which are consistent with those that had previously been reported in the press.
Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine. I'd like to see this tape. I don't even recall there being a tape and a video, and I know that, so I want to see the state that I was in.
Even Mohammed Farah got drawn into the controversy when he became one of the brokers trying to sell the video to the media.
That video came to me and said, hey, look, I have a problem. I have a video of the mayor, and basically, I need to get out of the city and sell this video. When I went to the Toronto Star, for example, I gave him a picture, but he was in that house over there. And the picture basically was, okay, these guys are victims of these socioeconomic factors that we have in this side of the fence, and we want you guys to see this picture, to see the video of the mayor smoking crack. Like, give us our voice as well on this side of the fence of the problem that we have. The celebrity status kind of took away a lot of the attention from the issues, right? That house that originated the crack video didn't get raided. Those guys didn't experience any kind of police activity.
That house is at 15 Windsor Road. It wasn't raided, but it was under close police surveillance as part of the investigation. The house came up again and again over the wiretaps. Police even obtained, but never used, a search warrant for the property. But that might be because they didn't need to use it. Police found another way to get a team of officers inside. Days after knowledge of the crack tape became public, there was a break-in and assault at the house. A man and his girlfriend with ties to Rob Ford were beaten with a metal pipe. 18 cops were assigned to investigate the incident. Even the police admitted that sending 18 officers to investigate a home assault was an unusually significant response. After the raids, Dixon was suddenly seen as a dangerous place. But it's unclear if that's because gangs were running rampant or because the police claimed they were. In the decade between 1990 and 2000, there was only one murder in the area. But the reach of Project Traveler suddenly touched every crime, even murders that had happened years before, like the 2011 stairwell shooting. News reporting now linked that murder to the Dixon Bloods. The only problem was that homicide is unsolved, and it happened 2 years before the Project Traveler raids and the allegations about the Dixon City Bloods. Dixon has never had more than 2 murders in any year, but the population is only 8,000. Toronto as a whole has about 56 homicides a year, with more than 2.7 million residents. We wanted to ask some alleged gang members where this all started. Mohammed Farah took us to meet a man police call the founder of the Dixon Bloods.
There's no such thing as Dixon Bloods. This is just something that they want to label us as, you know what I mean? There's nothing like that.
So your generation was the ones that originally got labeled the Dixon Bloods, right?
So we're the ones who created it, basically.
They also said you also created Dixon Bloods.
It was just us trying to make a label for ourselves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not really gang or whatever. It's just every other neighborhood around us claimed to be Crips, right?
Right.
So we just wanted to go against them, say, oh yeah, we're Bloods, but these are just a couple of friends, man. We were just friends. We used to go to school,
right,
come out, play basketball wherever you could find a ball or a park.
Right.
If not, just sit at the park.
Nothing organized crime where it's for profit, and you guys have trap houses in the buildings where you're cooking crack and meth and all the other kind of drugs and selling to people in the city of Toronto.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like, I've been in the system all my life and I don't even have one drug charge. The first thing they look at is your record. And then they automatically think you're a bad guy because the shit that you've done. Yeah, yes, I've done some bad stuff. Robbed, steal, fucking, well, some bullshit, man. Not something I'm proud of, you know what I mean? Everybody be expecting when I come out of jail, like everything was gonna be the same old bullshit, right?
Qasim has been convicted of several crimes, including an assault and a robbery. None of his charges are gun or drug related. Still, he can't seem to shake run-ins with police. In 2014, he was accused of assaulting police officers until cell phone video emerged that showed that one officer had actually assaulted him.
Growing up back in my days, it was a beautiful time. We enjoyed it. It was us friends. We grew up with each other. DC, all day right here, man. Dixon crew. That's what we grew up with. I know Dixon City Bloods. That's the younger kids, man. I don't know nothing about that shit. Nothing.
So no one seems to know exactly who the Bloods are, but they keep taking the blame for bringing guns, crime, and most of all, police attention to Dixon.
It used to be nice. Trust me, I know that. Yeah, it used to be love, man. No cops come in, like, you know, everybody, all the community used to chill outside, you know, do their own thing. But at the end of the day, there wasn't like cops coming and saying like, oh, where you guys from? Let me see your ID. None of that shit. But now it's like, you can't even breathe, man. It's fucked.
People are targeted because they're on conditions. You don't go to other different neighborhoods looking for if they're on bells or whatever, if they're on fucking curfew and all that bullshit. But they actually have a fucking crew for our Dixon neighborhood just to look around for people who have fucking bail conditions. They don't do that around. If I fucking was living in Mississauga, I lived in a house, they wouldn't come around my house looking for us, right? And I think that's profiling, you know what I mean? I don't like it. But what can you do about it? What can you do about it? Nothing.
It's little surprise they feel unfairly targeted. In the first group of people charged in the Project Traveler raids, anyone with a Somali name was charged with participating in a criminal organization. But others, even those with multiple charges, were not accused of being in the gang. Superintendent Ron Tavener has run the police division Dixon sits in for 13 years.
The names that are associated to gangs in there, I can't really speak to how they came to those conclusions. I would say that it's more a geographical gang than a Somali gang. I would say it's made up with Somali members, a lot of Somali members, but certainly I don't categorize it as a Somali gang. I think the name speaks for itself.
Who is in the gang matters because it means they face longer sentences. People who weren't accused of the same crimes were prosecuted together because they were allegedly all members of the Dixon Bloods. Naima Warsame was one of the first people to be prosecuted. She was found guilty of trafficking a firearm and the separate charge of being in a gang, which increased her sentence. But her lawyer says there was key evidence missing from the Crown's case.
People arrested wrong people! Wrong people!
I'll note that at Ms. Warsame's trial, never once was the word Dixon City Bloods or the criminal organization that she is alleged to have benefited, never once was a name assigned to them or the allegation made that she was a member of the Dixon City Bloods. Go figure, right? The gang expert, police officer, answered my question, what is the most important thing about a gang? With the answer, its name. What is the most important thing about a gang? Its name. But yet the name was never used. And everyone knows that. It's how people identify with it, and it's how it broadcasts to other gangs, other people, or communities of its existence.
Warsame was prosecuted with the man the press called the leader of the Dixon Bloods, Ahmed Abdullahi. They were tried together, despite being accused of completely unrelated crimes.
The evidence heard at trial was of a particular transaction, a criminal offense, namely the trafficking of a firearm, that had nothing at all to do with Mr. Abdullahi, her co-accused. So how she ended up being prosecuted as a co-accused to Mr. Abdullahi never made sense to me. Criminal organization is very different than a group of people who get together for a one-off offense. So where does she fall on the spectrum? In my opinion, not within the definition of a criminal organization.
Warsame and Abdullahi's sentences were also unusual, according to the lawyers.
I did a lot of case law research when my client went down on these charges, and most of the cases that I found suggested that a sentence of 6 to 9 years was the norm, and he got 12 years. Second-degree murder in Canada starts at 10 years, right? My guy was never alleged to have killed anyone. He didn't. He was alleged to have been part of a criminal organization. He was alleged to have trafficked firearms, and he got a 12-year sentence.
Both lawyers say there was never any evidence raised in court to suggest that Abdullahi was the leader of the Bloods.
It may be that the evidence suggested he had organized a particular criminal offense, but far be it from the leader of the organization itself, if we were to assume that such an organization exists.
Dixon residents deny the Bloods exist. But one thing propelling their detractors are independent rap videos produced by young artists like Rose Carter.
Best yayo, tell them zombies bring them spoons out. That's what got my brothers locked up in themselves now. Free all of them, let all of my goons out. The police in my neighborhood act like they're doing good, but personally in my eyes, I don't think that. They think I'm a Dixon Blood. They think my mom's the mother of a Dixon Blood. Like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm part of the Dixon family, but there's no Dixon gang. Everyone looks after each other. They look over each other. They're overprotective of each other. Like, fights do happen. People get into arguments, but we get over it the next day. Like, I understand why the police is there. Like, I don't blame them, but, like, I think they take it to a further extent. In some of my songs, I talk about Dixon, stuff like fuck the police, sometimes drugs, money, guns. I haven't personally experienced it, but it's like, I feel like I'm telling a tale from someone else's eyes.
We asked Rose why her video features red bandanas, a known symbol of the Bloods.
Red's a dominant color, right? Red's a good color, I guess. They weren't only wearing red bandanas. One guy was wearing a black scarf in the video too, right? I guess he just wanted to cover their face so police don't portray them as, you know? I don't look at myself as a gangster. The cops, they watch them to, I guess, identify people, to, like, you know, keep tabs on them. I never really took it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a video, I'm gonna put it out there. After a while, when they stopped me, I'm like, whoa, they seen this video? I don't have 1 million views. How did it get to them?
You know, we do look at rap videos. We do listen to the words that are being said on rap videos, and some of them are pretty graphic, and some of them are pretty direct on what their intentions are, their criminal activity intentions in some of the rap videos. So we have to look at everything in the totality.
Carter says it's all an image. Knowing people with criminal records is part of growing up in Dixon.
They misjudge some people, you know? Like, there's the rapper. I guess the rapper portrays themselves as a gangster or whatever. And there's people in the background that are just supporting the person, right? And if those people supporting the person, they're gonna think they're no different from the person, right? They're gonna think they're gang involved too. Like, after that whole raid, Dixon, like, died down. Half the people I grew up with are in jail right now. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
After the raids, the Dixon Bloods were reported on as a factual entity, even though their existence hadn't been proven in court. Writer Sam Pisano has been on the Toronto crime beat for decades.
Dixon City Bloods are a pretty major gang. They had imported, from my count, almost 24 guns into the Toronto area. They sold drugs. They had safe houses. There was a well-organized criminal enterprise, not that sophisticated, but highly organized. And they were smart enough, cunning enough, to fly under the radar. Because first of all, when you're caught, there's a higher penalty, a longer penitentiary term for participating in crimes in a gang.
He's confident cops got it right with the Dixon Bloods, but also says the timing of the raids wasn't an accident either.
They use these gang sweeps and the huge collection of people that they charge and the guns they take off the street and the drugs they take off the street to say, we're doing a great job with the resources we have. You better not cut them. So it's a great propaganda tool for the police to have these raids in the spring when they finalize the budget. I mean, it seems like at City Hall, it's just one budget negotiation after another, but in the spring, it's a key tool that they have, a key propaganda tool to maintain their budget.
This is not a budget-related issue. Sometimes they happen in the spring, but there's some that happen in the fall, summer, you know. Some even happen in the winter, believe it or not, Canada or not. The number of guns that are on the street, not just in this community, but when we look at across the city, it's disturbing where these guns are coming from.
I was gonna post it right now, but I didn't. And not burn it.
So when are you gonna get your job at Red Nile back?
Never.
Why?
When are you gonna get your job at the airport back?
I'm not qualified.
Why? Is it because of your charges?
It's because of where I live.
Oh.
Look where we live. We can't get jobs.
Young people in Dixon are well aware that their neighborhood is violent, but their bigger problem is with police.
Like, they search you, pat you down randomly.
See me, bro, with the flashlight.
Like, they even went in my, you know how much times they went in my pocket? Because I'm a girl, they don't care. You know how much times they went in my jacket pocket? Hey, what's this? One time they tried to unlock my phone, I wasn't having it.
Yeah, I never give my phone password. Maybe you guys want to hold it. You're not cracking code.
I don't know, man. Cops in Dixon are annoying. When they see you walking up in the staircase, like, you live there, why are they questioning you? For no goddamn reason. But yeah, there's still shootings. It's not as much as there used to be. Once in a blue moon.
We asked them about all of the shootings and the gun smuggling in the area.
I don't really know too much about that, to be honest. Not really.
I've never heard of that. Me either.
I'm not really into guns.
Nowadays, a lot of rappers just rap about what they think the public wants to hear, or a lot of the youth that are, you know, that find
That's exactly
that
how
stuff,
it is. Every other neighborhood endures shootings. They go through the same thing, but it's like, it's because if that whole scandal didn't happen, we probably wouldn't be as big as we are now. Like, now we're, like, internationally known. Like, it's a whole different program now.
We don't want to lose any more youth. We don't want our youth to go to jail. We need to understand that, you know?
Crime in Dixon died down in the 2 years after Project Traveler. But in March 2015, there was a double shooting in a building nearby. One man was wounded, and another was shot and killed hours later. Several men from Dixon were charged with the murder. The name the Dixon Bloods resurfaced in the media.
Again, it's developing very quickly, but as we stand right now, just a few days after it happened, there are gang overtones.
That trial is ongoing, but once again, community members dispute the charges and the label. Hanad Farah was one of the accused in that March 2015 murder because his friends were charged too.
Yeah, I remember that time that murder happened in Islington? And literally, when I was all west, my dad called me telling me like the house got kicked in. Police raided my house. Literally took my phones, all that. I still never got it back to this day. And even till now, the charge not even dropped. It stayed. No, till they find more evidence and shit.
They find more evidence, huh?
Yeah, but it's crazy.
Hanad's charges were stayed. He was working in another province, a 3-hour flight away, when the murder happened.
I was in Saskatoon working.
Just trying to make a living.
I had to come back just for this, right?
You were just about to make it, to pull you back.
Literally, man.
You know what I'm saying?
The other thing is, like, literally, like, I had a clean record, too. You know? Like, I don't know why they'll think I did something like that, you know?
It still says you're charged for murder.
Yeah, it says literally, like, it says that, and every time I get jotted down, I get searched extra hard and all that.
They have no reason to jot us down. Like, we're not even doing nothing. But we be like, yo, what are you guys up to? You know what I'm saying? What's up, Farrell? You know this guy's whole govy. Like, the whole 23 knows.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
And the other thing is, like, how could 6 people do one murder? Like, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
The news title said the new face of the Dixon Bloods. They made that Somalis on unit. They be on their ass and shit, driving around every day in fucking undies.
Really, man, for no reason, bro.
For no reason,
Just
stuff.
harassing us.
It's funny, bro. If they made a mistake with you and you weren't even in the city,
obviously they made
imagine
a
all
mistake
the other
with them,
guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What if the guys are in jail? They're in jail for no reason right now.
Yeah, exactly. Just like me, right?
Free my niggas, bro.
Yeah, we're on our way to the Dixon buildings now. There'll be a couple of the Somali liaison officers there.
Police know they have a problem, so they created this.
When we come in here, we're already known to them. So there's no fear to approach us.
Mohammed Farah stopped by while we were being shown around.
How long have you lived here?
25 years.
No.
What was the main reason for the shooting to come about?
You know, just the issues here in the Dixon community, and the negativity that Traveler had, the project, with all the arrest and violence. That's what made the community kind of come together with the police. And in a community of this size, there's always things that happen, but we can respond differently to them and have a better relationship with people.
But I never had a good relationship with the police, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I've seen that change, especially with Khan over here, and some of the guys that he talks to on a regular basis. It's been a different outcome in the last 2.5 years.
Now that we have this ability to deal with things on a relationship where we can talk to people, that's been so helpful. We were part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Before the media can do it, the prosecution does this group a favor by lending them credibility where there are no grounds for any, and in fact, creating a gang where no gang actually exists.
But it is possible that police are just linking isolated crimes under one label.
We're very confident that there has been significant gangs in the Dixon community. We'd like to think that they've been certainly disrupted, but to say they're totally gone, I don't think I could say that.
Only one thing is clear in all of this. Both the police and the residents of Dixon are sure that the gang either does or does not exist.
I don't think it's organized, personally. I don't think it's organized. I guess things just happen, right? You get put in a position and you gotta do what you have to do.
After everyone we met and all of the opinions we heard, we still can't say for sure which side is right.